What up, everybody? What up, everybody? Welcome back to the Sheer Brilliance Podcast. I am your host. My name is Baraka Bashir, and I'm excited today. I'm truly excited. I did not expect to have the Knicks Daily Edition today. I did not expect it. For those of you who are new to my channel and visiting for the first time, the Knicks Daily Edition is the portion of my show that I only host when we have New York Knicks victories. Okay? And I'm truly excited because it is a victory today. Okay? Victory morning. So, for those of you who are new to the channel, when I have Knicks Daily Edition only has 4 ingredients. So that's all Knicks fans are welcome to come to the Knicks Daily after a great victory following morning. You know what I mean? And on this menu, when you go into the Knicks Daily, is the bacon, egg, and cheese. So if you go to New York, or if you're from New York, you know bacon, egg, and cheese is what you have to order when you go to the deli, right? So in terms of this segment, the bacon, egg, and cheese are the 3 players who combined really had made a good recipe for victory, right? They impacted the game, they really showed out, and they did their thing during the game, all right? Next thing that you'll find on the menu is the dollar slice. Everybody knows that New York has the greatest pizza in the world. Yeah, I said it, the greatest pizza in the world, right? So that dollar slice is the New York staple, man. That thing is just... gotta have it. Whether you're visiting New York, gotta get a dollar slice. Or if you're part of New York fabric, man, that's what you get when you're walking home from school, or you just got the dollar, man. You need something to eat, bam, you go to. That's your go-to, that dollar slice. Third is going to be the chopped cheese. So the chopped cheese is what you'll find on the menu, all right? That chopped cheese is relatively new in terms of the New York food scene, but that joint be busting. So we want to identify the player that's, really, whether they're pretty new to the team or they were new to the game, and they came out and they stood out and they were just busting. In terms of the game, boy, they stood out and they did their thing. And lastly, you can't really have a bacon, egg, and cheese. You can't really have a dollar slice, or you can't really have the chopped cheese unless you have a quarter water. So that quarter water, man, no matter how much money you have, bam, you can get that quarter water, drink that thing down, completes the meal. So the quarter water in terms of this segment is the player who came in the game and had a phenomenal quarter that either pushed us over the edge or impact this game in a positive manner to help us get the victory. So we're going to talk about all that today on our Knicks Victory Edition versus the Miami Heat of the Knicks Daily. Let's go.
Knicks Daily Edition. Yo, what up, Bot?
So, welcome back. We're going to jump right into it. We're going to talk about who is the bacon, egg, and cheese. All right? Who serves as the bacon, egg, and cheese for this particular game? And for this particular game, I really want to look at 3 players. So for me, there were 3 players that stood out. But the first player who I want to talk about is Immanuel Quickley. Yes. IQ, yes. 4th quarter quick. Immanuel Quickley, bro. We've all been talking about it all season, just marveling at the amount of growth that this man has really had over the course of the season. I talk to a lot of Knicks fans all the time, and I tell them, listen, going into the second season, this is the second year of a rebuild. All right? I know that we all got enamored with the first year, but this is the second year, and we haven't been as successful completely in terms of our record as we all wanted to, but it's also important to look at what are the points of progress that we've had. What is the success? And one point of success is absolutely Immanuel Quickley. Immanuel Quickley stood out in several ways that makes him a great part of the bacon, egg, and cheese. First and foremost, he just has a closer mentality. You can tell he wanted to be responsible for bringing the team back and closing this game. When he came into the game, he came in the game with purpose. And something else that I was looking at, and in the third, I was just boggled by. Because Jimmy Butler did his thing, as well as the Miami Heat. They did their thing on R.J. Barrett. You know what I mean? R.J. Barrett got a nice little taste of what Julius got in the playoffs last year. When teams see you as a threat and they start throwing not one, not two, but possibly three bodies at you and disrupting your game. All right? And this is what the Miami Heat did to R.J. Barrett last night. But when Immanuel Quickley came in, he changed the energy of the game. And that's something that I noticed right away. He came in, he was just like, yo, listen, I'm going to play the course, I'm going to do my thing. But you could tell with his swagger and his bounce that everybody that was on the court with him began to take on that energy. Came in and was just like, yo, listen, all right, we need to do our part to see if we can chip away at this lead. So that's something that Immanuel Quickley immediately did once he went onto the floor. Secondly, something that I noticed about Immanuel Quickley is that he sees the game differently now. You can tell that he sees the game faster. So he's able to not only see what the defense is presenting, but also to see quickly if his own team is in the right positions that they're supposed to be in for the next play. Or even when he needs to switch the play up. You know what I mean? But he sees it immediately. You can see when he has the ball, he sees the game faster. And another way that you can tell that he sees the game faster is that he plays faster. I think Clyde may have mentioned it. He doesn't walk the ball up the court anymore and calls the play. He's running up the court, directing plays, moving people, pushing people back, pulling people forward. And for me, I'm like, man, that's a great sign to see from a player who didn't come in naturally as a point guard. It's more of a combo guard. But only in his second year, he's gaining that level of confidence. Bro, we're going to talk more about Quick throughout this video, but that was another thing that I saw. He was confident also in his control as a point guard. He knows what he's doing. He sees and he knows what he's recognizing when he's dribbling the ball up the court and he's getting our offense where it needs to be. Those are things that stood out. And lastly, this man blew up for 20 points in one quarter. Once again, his energy, his command of the offense, his command in terms of his pace of the offense and the confidence that he had was infectious with the team. Clearly, you can see it was infectious with the team. So the bacon on our bacon, egg, and cheese today is Immanuel Quickley. Now, who's the egg? All right? The egg is going to be Quentin Grimes. Yes, I said it. Grime time. Okay? Quentin Grimes, man. Happy to have him back. He was out for a number of games because of injury, and it took him a while to get his rhythm. It took him a while, so he's been back for maybe about 2 or 3 games now. And during those 2 or 3 games, he really, it took a while for him to get his rhythm back. All right? So, he's been off a little bit in terms of shooting. He's just been falling short of the rim. And you weren't concerned. You just knew before he went down with injury, he was confident and he was ready to go. So when he went down with injury and he went out for a couple of games, you knew it was going to take a little bit for him to come back. All right? So, and that's exactly what happened. But he came back last night. He didn't start off the game strong. He started off the game once again, hitting the front of the rim, falling just short. So usually when the ball hits the front of the rim, then his legs aren't completely where they need to be. He still got to get his legs underneath him. But one thing about Quentin Grimes is the same thing that I noticed about Immanuel Quickley, both in their first year. Immanuel Quickley still does it now. That when you're off, you keep shooting. Shooters shoot. Okay? Shooters shoot. And they continue to shoot, and their confidence is never wavering. And this is something that we saw last night in Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes, he moves about with zero fear. And this is what you absolutely have to love. Last night was a night for the New York Knicks kids. All right? A lot of our rookies, our first and second year players, sprinkled in with a little bit of New York Knicks cooking. okay, some of the veterans. But last night really was the spotlight and the stage for our youth, okay? And what you saw in Quentin Grimes and Emmanuel Quickly and Deuce McBride and Jericho Sims and the other and Obi Toppin, that there is no fear. It's a beautiful thing to have a squad that plays with no fear. I was a big Kevin Knox fan, all right? I really want Kevin Knox to be successful. But you didn't get that from Kevin Knox. Kevin Knox went out there and he really just tried to just be a player that could contribute. You know what I mean? Every one of the players that we have on our squad who's young are fearless. They are fearless. And this is what you saw in Quentin Grimes last night. Quentin Grimes he moves with this air of presence like he's a starter. Quentin Grimes moves, his energy, his impact, his confidence in pulling up for the shot and not being really worried about being pulled or worried about what the coach is saying. I don't know if the confidence comes from the coach giving him the green light, but Quentin Grimes moves like a starter. He absolutely moves like a starter, so he has zero fear. Once again, shooters shoot. You could tell that this cat is going to be big time for us. He's going to be big time for us. I really don't want to get rid of him. You know what I mean? So we're going to talk a little bit as we summarize this video. What does this stretch run mean at the end of the season? We're going to talk about that in a summary. But Quentin Grimes, fearless, shooters shoot, and lastly, defense. You look at Quentin Grimes and you think, all right, he's a three-point shooter. You know what I mean? If you don't follow the New York Knicks, you think that's all he does. But this man equally was as impactful on last night's game as a shooter on the defensive end. His defense on Kyle Lowry and sometimes switching off on Jimmy Butler showed his versatility, showed his tenacity on the front line with the point guard and the two guard, alternating between those two with McBride and Quick. You know what I mean? And sometimes on the three, you know, on the small forward, his versatility is outstanding. An absolute basketball player and an absolute threat that we have in our lineup for years to come. So the egg of the bacon, egg, and cheese this morning is Quentin Grimes. Okay? And you know who the cheese is. Come on now. Y'all know who the cheese is. Y'all know who the cheese is. The deuce was loose last night. Okay? The deuce was loose last night. Deuce McBride, finally, the deuce was loose in Miami. Shout out to Tibbs. We're going to talk about that later. But Deuce McBride had an opportunity to play a little bit more minutes last night than he has in a lot of previous games in recent New York Knicks history. And he showed up as he always do. Okay? Deuce McBride's defense on Kyle Lowry was impressive. His activity, his defensive impact on the game is always almost immediate. He's disruptive. He is absolutely disruptive. Deuce McBride was playing passing lanes. There was a couple of calls he didn't get. Deuce McBride has an ability to get up in his opponent without fouling, although he did pick up a few fouls last night. But what I absolutely loved that stood out about him as well was when he came in as the point guard, how he controlled the pace of the game and how he was able to get our team in its offense. He also, because of playing time, and we can see that it's clear, he also still needs to get his legs up under him because there were a couple of three-point shots, once again, that was also hitting the front of the rim for him as well. But his impact on the game, his defensive intensity, his energy, man, boy, I mean, the best word that I could use to describe his impact on the game was disruptive. Disruptive. Be disruptive. Agitate. Be disruptive. We got young players. We have shooters. Okay? We got young shooters. All right? So the bacon, egg, and cheese this morning on the menu are Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, and Deuce Miles McBride. Okay? Fourth quarter quick, Grime time, and then the Deuce was loose last night. So I'm truly excited about that three in our future. All three actually made up all 38 points that we scored in the fourth quarter. All 38. And once again, credit to Tibbs for leaving them out there. Leaving them out there and let them boys play. They have the chemistry. They have the energy. Let them rock. All right? But more importantly than the 38 points that they were able to put on the board, they held Miami to the 15 points. Disruptive defense. Perfect combination as a bacon, egg, and cheese. Man, great win. So on to the next thing on the menu, all right? Next thing we're going to look at is the dollar slice. Who is that player that was a staple of the game, staple of the offense, really came in and also made their impact throughout the game as well? The dollar slice today is Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin, stand up. What I absolutely love and why I believe this season is successful is that we've really been able to see the development of Obi Toppin throughout the year, even though he's been given sporadic minutes. And I know we probably would have seen this sooner, and we probably would see far more development had he been given more time. But we know that hasn't been our reality. But let's just talk about what we do see, okay? And this is what we do see. Obi Toppin has developed. But in terms of his impact on this game, and especially last night, energy. Unquestionable energy. Obi Toppin as a power forward plays fast. He plays fast. And just like I will point out that Emmanuel Quickly sees the game fast, not only does Obi Toppin play fast, but he's also skilled at a fast pace. The Obi Toppin we've been seeing in the last few games that he's been getting a lot of minutes is the Obi Toppin that was playing at Dayton. Obi Toppin that we've been seeing over the last few games with more minutes is the Obi Toppin that we've been seeing play at Dayton while he was in college. And that's primarily because a lot of the players that he's been playing alongside have been playing with speed and pace as well. So this is only about the players who played tonight. I don't want to make it about any other way, when our offense looks, when other players are involved. When we are playing fast, Obi Toppin plays at his best. Imagine if we have an outstanding point guard. Imagine if we had an outstanding point guard. Just a reminder, folks, If you like this video, please like and subscribe to the Sheer Brilliance Podcast. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to the Sheer Brilliance Podcast. I appreciate your support. Obi Toppin, man, is something that we're noticing with more time that he's been given on the floor and more familiarity. Familiarity is what we're going to talk about in the summary. But when he gets more familiarity with some of the starters like RJ, Sims, or Mitch, the more familiarity that we see, the more time he gets on the floor, the more of the repertoire we start to see him unveil to us throughout the game. Last night, I love he had a dribble pull-up. This man had the fake of the three, had the dribble and pull up from the wing. I was just like, man, all those people who's calling Obi a bust, bro, y'all got to keep quiet. Y'all gotta keep quiet because this man is really showing you the repertoire now. Y'all got to keep quiet. So I'm just going to kind of keep it at that because I'm a little bit behind schedule on it. But the dollar slice today is Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin. Bro, energy, plays fast. He's skilled at a fast pace. And slowly but surely, as we see him play more minutes, he's starting to unleash his repertoire. Man, 15 points on threes, jumpers, drives, versatility at our power forward position. Future is bright for the New York Knicks. Next on the menu is the chopped cheese sandwich. Chopped cheese. Now, who is going to be the chopped cheese? Once again, I'm going to split this meal between two players. And we don't have to look any further than our center position. Mitchell Robinson, Jericho Sims, and I'm even throwing Taj Gibson inside there as well. Taj Gibson, Jericho Sims, Mitchell Robinson will serve as our chopped cheese for the day. That thing that's relatively new, you know what I mean? But man, it's busting. And now these players, with the exception of Sims, are not new. But this combination of the three as our centers is. And something that I noticed, and I'm like, I don't know what we're going to be able to do with respect to signing Mitch. I don't know where it's going to leave us in terms of the money that we have and how it impacts our cap. But what I do know is there is no other team in the league who has that level of athleticism, that level of commitment to the defensive end, that level of impact on the offensive boards as the New York Knicks have in Mitchell Robinson, Jericho Sims, and Taj Gibson. We cannot understate that. For years, we had a stretch of years where we had undersized players playing the center position for us. And we will be getting pushed around and bounced around and fouled out every other game. And now we finally have, not only we lose no ground. We lose zero impact on the game in terms of defense, rebounding, activity, impact, altering shots. We lose none of that when Mitch goes to the bench and Jericho Sims comes in, or when Jericho Sims goes to the bench and then Taj comes in. And that's rare. And I know we don't get much scoring from that position outside of dunks, but that's all that we need if everybody else is doing their job. And last night, man, to see one go out and Jericho come in, and the more confidence he begins to gain because he's getting more minutes and he's an active participant in the rotation, is beautiful to see. It is absolutely beautiful to see. So, chopped cheese goes to our three-headed monster at the center position. Mitchell Robinson, Jericho Sims, Taj Gibson. Man, we had 18 offensive rebounds. 18. Man, that's what you need if you play in the battle in the playoffs against some of these teams. If next year we're able to make our run to the playoffs and we come up against a New Jersey Nets, Brooklyn Nets, New Jersey Nets, when they roll out there Nick Claxton, when they roll out there DeAndre Jordan, when they roll out there LaMarcus Aldridge, our bigs are versatile enough, they're long enough to disrupt those players in the middle or on the block. When you have a Milwaukee Bucks that come in, and you have a Brook Lopez that rolls out there, or you have a Giannis Antetokounmpo, we have bigs. If you have Philly that rolls out there with a Joel Embiid, we have bigs. Don't be so quick to move on from Mitchell Robinson. Figure out a way to pay that man. Just because we have Jericho Sims, just because we have Jericho Sims, why can't we have both? You know what I mean? Like, to have a defense that's stout is important. And those two boys, man, we got them late in the lottery. Let's not mess it up. So the chopped cheese are our three-headed monster in the middle. And lastly on the menu, before I get to the summary, is the quarter water. Okay? And the quarter water, I usually, for each of these meals on the menu, I try to pick different players. But not today. Because different players don't deserve it today. Emmanuel quickly deserves it today. So the quarter water goes to fourth quarter quick. Okay? Fourth quarter, Quick gets the quarter water of the day. That boy was on fire. That boy was on fire. That boy was shooting. Okay? Shooting. And what I love was he did it in Miami. It reminded me of Allen Houston with that last shot. The only difference was there was a full crowd in Miami at that time, and this crowd was whack. Miami Heat fans are fair weather fans. I said it. Half of the damn fan base was New Yorkers out there. Fourth quarter, Quick showed up, erupting for 20 points in the fourth quarter. Knicks fans, you should be embarrassed of yourself if you left in the third quarter. If you decided not to watch the game because you thought it was going to be an automatic loss to the division and conference leading Miami Heat. You should be embarrassed of yourselves. Because Emmanuel quickly showed up. Man, he was engaged throughout the entirety of the game. And what I absolutely hate when players come to Madison Square Garden and they start chirping at the crowd, and they start pointing and ice grilling to the crowd, where Quick gave it back to you last night. Quick was like, ooh, what's that? Ooh. Reminding you that he's a shooter. Engaging with the crowd. Letting them know, yeah, we're here. I loved it. I loved how he directed the offense. I loved that he lifted the energy of the players that was playing with him on the court at that time. I loved it. But what I absolutely loved was that he was clutch in terms of his free throws. They fouled a few times. He drove to the basket and got fouled a few times. But he was clutch in making his free throws. Man, Quickly is a player that you do not want to get rid of. You do not want to get rid of him. It has to be a major move, because he's going to come back and punish us if we get rid of him. You can best believe that. He's going to return and be a nightmare for us if we get rid of this player. But if we keep him and we build around our stars or our budding stars or young players the right way, then he can be an asset for us that can terrorize this league. Terrorize them. So, clutch free throws set the tone and the energy for the team, especially in the third, because we were really lacking energy. We were down about 16 points. Erupted for 20 points in the fourth and gave it to the crowd. Emmanuel quickly dominated the quarter water, let's go. All right? So there it is. Knicks Deli Edition.
Knicks Deli Edition. Yo, what up, Bach?
With the Sheer Brilliance podcast, I'm your host, Baraka Bashir, and that is the menu. So just to kind of summarize, man, this is a great win. All Knicks fans, I know we slept well last night. Woke up real happy, really excited. These games mean nothing for us in terms of the standings, getting to the playoffs or the play-in. Everybody knows it's a foregone conclusion that we're not getting in. I don't even want to put no caveats on it. We're not getting in. Get that out of your mind. But this stretch of games to tie up and to wrap up the season, they're very important. They're very important for several reasons. First, we're seeing what these players have. We have an opportunity to throw the ball out on the floor and let these young boys go get it. And what they're showing us is that we've done a great job in drafting the last few years. I know a lot of people feel a different way, a certain way about Tom Thibodeau playing the players or not playing the players earlier, and depending on and trying to determine where would we be if he had played those players earlier in the season. And even Tom Thibodeau is getting impacted this year, probably more than any have I felt that social media has really disrupted the team. You know what I mean? And I know it's probably because we're so many talking heads that are on the YouTube and social media and Twitter. You know what I mean? Giving our opinions on the game. And the fact that more and more of these players these days listen to it. So I think we might be running into a situation where we're almost as bad as the newspapers were back in the 90s, you know. But at the end of the day, they don't have to watch it. They don't have to listen. You know, they could just lock in and pay attention. All right. But yeah, Tibbs came out, you know, and he was speaking to all of us, all of the Knicks fans who are giving our opinions on the game, you know, making videos or whatever have you, posting tweets or whatever have you. He was trying to give us the business and let us know, like, listen, you know, y'all guys don't do this like I do this. All right. But I'm getting off track. The young players this time of year, I know we all feel a certain way, like, man, where would we be had they been playing a little bit earlier? But first and foremost, I really feel as if development doesn't only take place during actual games. Development takes place in practice. When you're playing head-to-head with these starters and you're pressing them. And this is how you know it's working. Because you could see somebody like an IQ getting better. It's because you know that a Quentin Grimes and a Miles McBride is all up in his grill during practice. Every practice. I had a video that I posted previously where IQ said it. He was just like, yo, bro, just how he plays in the game is what I see every day in practice. And you get better that way. You get better, steel sharpens steel. You get better when those practices are as competitive as the games. You know what I mean? This year I've seen the development, even in Jericho Sims' rookie season. He's been thrown out there and forced to play more minutes than he probably ever expected to play. Okay? Now what we're seeing as they power down the stretch and really put together these wins is great for chemistry. They're getting more chemistry. They're learning how to win together. Their cohesion and their camaraderie is off the chain and palpable. You can clearly see it. They like playing with each other. Okay? Now, the only thing that I am concerned about is it's fun to watch these young boys play, but this can be window shopping for other teams. When we play this hard, other teams pay attention. They may have been tuning in to scout the Miami Heat, but at the same time, they are seeing a Miles McBride. They're seeing a Quentin Grimes. They're seeing an Emmanuel Quickly. They're paying attention to the versatility and the unraveling or the unveiling of a complete, well-rounded repertoire of an Obi Toppin, and they're taking notes. And where this is going to be important is come draft time. So I know we always like to look at what our draft standing is and whether or not we should lose these games so that we can increase the chances of getting a higher draft pick. We need to stop that. We need to cut that out. We just need to stop that. All right? Get it out of our minds, because the higher odds that we have, we never get it. So we just put that behind us and let the chips fall where they may. You know what I mean? Get that out of our mind. Just win. Let's win these games. Because what we're doing is increasing the value of these players. They're already valuable to us. We know who they are and what they are. But you see, I like to watch the broadcast of the opposing team after wins. And you can clearly see that they try to do their research in terms of the stats. But they're surprised when what we see every day, they begin to see on the court. They was just like, this is unbelievable. I can't believe my eyes. I can't believe what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? So these are some of the things they were saying on the Miami Heat broadcast last night. And that's reflective of a lot of the teams where I watched the opposing teams broadcast the day after wins. They do the same thing. They look at the stats, but they're surprised when they see the ability of the young players that we have. So this could be in our favor come draft time, because now they know if it's a major trade, I need a big player, but let me get that young buck over there. Let me get that young 3-point shooter. You know what I mean? You already have a power forward. Why don't you swap? Why don't you send that person to me and send this other person to me as the backup center? You know what I mean? So, we're falling in love with the squad as we always do. We love our Knicks, baby. But we know, and we know they're talented. So this is the stretch. You know what I mean? Tom Thibodeau is putting them in the window. You know what I mean? He's playing them, and they're showing up. But it's also window shopping for us. So Tom Thibodeau has thrown out the young players to go against a Jimmy Butler, to go against an Adebayo, to go against a Kyle Lowry. I see how you are with our players in practice. Let me see how you are against the other team, which is why he was so defensive. Because I think he was able to see, all right, okay, so our kids are tooth and nail and pull one out against their veterans over a period of more than a full quarter. And it may have surprised him. But he doesn't want to acquiesce because I think he himself also hears what's being said on social media, whether it's YouTube or Twitter or whatever have you. I think he's being shown this stuff. So he doesn't want to give fans or anybody, any critics, the kudos that, damn, I may have missed this. All right, so he's gonna hold on. He ain't gonna give that. He ain't giving that up. He ain't trying to do that. And that's all right. Just keep playing the kids. Just keep rolling them out there. That's all right. So I want to end this video by thanking you guys for visiting the Knicks Daily edition of the Sheer Brilliance podcast. I'm truly excited about this season. No matter what our record is and the fact that we're not going to be playing in the playoffs, I think it was a successful season. I think we were able to see some of our players take the next step. I think we were able to see most of our players develop. And more importantly, I think we continue to do a phenomenal job of drafting quality players, character players, and skilled players. We have shooters. We have a great team. We are just short of a superstar. And whether one of our players becomes that, or whether we use some of these great assets to acquire a superstar, either way, our future's bright. And I really believe that it's bright because of the commitment of the Knicks fan base. So shout out to us. We have to stand up. Shout out to us. But also shout out to the entire organization. Shout out to James Dolan for staying out of the business and letting the front office do what it does. Shout out to the front office for not making crazy or stupid moves. We don't want another Andrea Bargnani. Don't do that during the draft time. You know what I mean? Stay locked in, stay focused, keep your eyes on the prize. Donovan Mitchell, Zion Williamson, or whoever should be the main focus. And shout out, just shout out to these players, man, who continue to play for Tibbs, who continue to stay engaged, locked in, and committed to what it is that we're trying to do, and to continue to stay in the gym and stay focused. We haven't had any scandals outside of, the fans and the Randalls going at it. None of our players we hear about being in the clubs or anything. Man, you know what I mean? We're in a privileged position. You know what I mean? And we're in a good place. And the Knicks organization is responsible for that. So we are appreciative. Shout out. Great win. Keep this in mind, whether it applies to life or applies to our team. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. And never forget, not only are we here, but we got next. Folks, one last time, please like and subscribe. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to the Sheer Brilliance podcast. And I'm out. Peace.